Like there's many things that I find entertaining on the internet. And two of them are some of the deepest, darkest pits in like the whole planet. Like, the deepest, darkest pits on the internet. Transvestigations and black pill black pill incel content. I just love them. I eat them up. Today, I'm here to speak on trans people. Always. On Twitter in trans people's business. All right. Today, we're here to talk about three things in the context of one person. One man, maybe. One person that was previously a man or continues to identify as a man for evil reason. First, what is trans people? What are trans people? What is transgender? If you're watching this, you probably already know. It's self explanatory. People that have trans their genders. Born one way, transition, change to another way. Transitioning can be social, medical, personal. Gender is complicated. So trans people can transition. And that also means that they can detransition, which is go back to where they started or to like a middle ground of where they started or where they were before. And I would have like data and stuff, but I came up with this idea um yesterday night. So I came up with this idea yesterday night, and I realized when I was trying to do research that the statistics and stuff for detransitioning um, is clouded and crowded with TERFs. TERFs are trans exclusionary radical feminists, aka the number one hater of trans people. And they go both ways. They hate trans women because they think they're men, and then they hate trans men because they think they're women. It's both ways. So, according to TERFs, apparently, like, all trans men are becoming or detransitioning to become women again, right? Right? And you can't trust humans to do anything right. Like, humans are literally, you can trust some of them to do right, but you can't trust all of them. Like, 9 times out of 10, you're good. Like, there's good humans are doing the right thing, and then that one person is gonna be trifling, like absolutely trifling. So this is the detransition, well, not fully, kind of detransition story of what is it, Casey Miller, who, let me just read it. I gotta read it. I'm gonna put the tweet. What side? This side. Tweet right there. All right, the video. But it says, just for some perspective, this is what almost 5 years of hormones does to a teenage girl. Remember, I'm 21. Now, I let me show you the real picture. That's me, but this is what the real person looks like. Um, Now, maybe I'm just super smart and intelligent, and every other like trans person is also super smart and intelligent and understands like that genetics are a thing. So if you start taking tea and you start looking like your dad, your uncle, your brother, that's just that's just the science. But whatever. So you start taking all of your stuff at a young age. All right. I get being unsure, cuz you know what? Gender gender is complicated. You know why gender is complicated? Cuz it's fake. So when something is fake and you want to make it real, what do? You try and explain stuff through whatever way possible you can think of. And sometimes that means, but when you're younger, maybe you're younger. Sometimes you might be older, starting it, and then you detransition. But say you're 21, you were on hormones, or maybe you weren't even on hormones. You just transitioned socially, right? And then you're like, oh hey, maybe I'm not trans in that way. And so you detransition a little bit to go like into the gray category. You're in the gray zone of what gender is. And then you want to detransition further back to your starting position from when you were born. And that's okay. That is perfectly fine. But this person, Casey Miller, um, they say they said like detransitioning. I will find the tweet. They said like detransitioning was like from like they will present as a trans woman because they transition to be a man and now they're detransitioning, so like stopping their hormones and everything. And so you like, your body changes, so it might be a little more masculine, I guess, or whatever it is. The body changes, things happen, you're detransitioning back. Well, you're detransitioning, so now you would probably maybe identify as a woman again. Well, this person doesn't want to do that because they said they're gonna present as a trans woman and make cis women uncomfortable. I don't get it, but transphobia for you. Person just wants TERF money, okay? Do you know how easy it is? Like they're always talking about like some propaganda or whatever about something. Like, no, propaganda where? You are doing the propaganda for the TERFs. You're like first, like let's. I will keep making this clear. Detransitioning is not a problem because gender is complicated. The problem is when you talk about how big and bad hormones were for you and blame it on being trans instead of blaming it on the fact that you already had baldness and now you got male pattern baldness running in your family. Like, that's not anybody's fault but the genes. And like, you can't tell people like it's bad to start hormones. And I don't know what you think, but people really do unalive themselves because they can't transition. There's a disconnect between mind and body, and they wouldn't have offered hormones in the first place if it wasn't helping. Like, there wasn't a solution. Like, if it wasn't a good solution, it would have never even been on the table. Like, that's a non-option if it was a bad solution. And if large numbers of people were talking about, transitioning, like, I regret it. Like, if that's what the case was, if like most kids and young adults that were going through like years and years of therapy and stuff to really get to the conclusion of what was going on, and they decided like, hey, it's gender dysphoria, hey, like, you might be trans, and then you go ahead with hormones and like transitioning socially and everything, and that didn't work out. Like I can't even find the proper statistics for like detransitioning. You see people that have this detransitions, like it's a big thing. Like, you can find the people that are detransitioning. Like, that's not a thing at like people aren't not detransitioning. You get what I'm saying? So people are detransitioning, but it's not for the reasons you are trying to say. Like, people are detransitioning because, once again, gender is complicated. So if you are AFAB, born a woman, and then you're like, oh, maybe I'm a man. Like, maybe I'm a trans man. And then you transition with hormones and everything. And then you realize, like, wait a minute, I didn't want all this. Like, this isn't exactly where I should be at. Then you can go back You can go back a little. How are you supposed to know if being a man or being a woman is the right spot for you? You don't until you get there. So if it's trial and error and you get to a certain spot eventually that's like confirming like, hey, this was perfect, because you know what? A lot of people like hormones isn't the only way people are do like do gender affirming care. Some people might not even go on hormones, right? But they might get a surgery to feminize or something like that. Feminizing surgery, it can just be something simple. Maybe they, I don't know, shave down their jaw or something, change the nose up a little bit. Like, gender is so complicated, and part of it is through expression, right? So if you go bald, like, you are bald, and that was not a part of your gender expression, you need to put on a wig. If you wanted to present mask and you wanted to present as a, like, your gender felt masculine to you, but then you went bald and you thought you were ugly, you need to put on a wig. Why? Because you didn't want to be bald, but you wanted to present masculine. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's two parts. It's two sides, to every coin. And you're gonna flip it, and maybe one side says, hey, I want to be a man, and then the other side is like, yes, but I think men are ugly. I want to be a pretty man. If you want to be a pretty man and pretty man is in your genes, maybe you don't want to start hormones, because the hormones are going to, like, chemically make you an ugly man, because that's what's in your genes. And I'm gonna just say, gender is difficult. Um, Transphobia is kind of dumb, right? So here I am eating them up like that is me.